Kibera is one of the largest slums in Africa, home to more than 200,000 people. Many of these people don't have access to basic needs and live in poverty, so they turn to alcohol to cope with their dire conditions. Chengaa is a home-brewed traditional alcoholic drink that is popular amongst young people in Kibera due to its potency and low price. Due to incorrect brewing techniques and lacing the brew with toxic additives such as methanol, it has led to more than 2,000 people to be affected every year. Approximately more than 300 people die while others can go blind. This is because methanol is turned into formaldehyde in the body, which attacks the optic nerve. The excess amounts of methanol will stop the nervous system from functioning, leading to death. Some other consequences include unprotected sex, which can lead to the spread of HIV, AIDS, and car accidents and domestic violence, mainly due to the high potency of the drink.
So, a plausible solution that we have constructed suitable for this region is detecting the quantity of methanol present in the brew, using chemistry to evaluate whether it is at a lethal amount. The materials needed are a tin can or any other container that can withstand heat, a container that can hold at least one liter of a solution, 2 long tubes relatively narrow in diameter, 1 small balloon, tape, a water source such as a river, a flexible tape measure, a calculator, 75 milliliter of acidified sodium dichromate, and lastly a heat source such as fire. These materials can be used to create the following apparatus. The brewer would take 1 liter of a sample of their brew and add it into the container. They would then add 75 milliliter of acidified sodium dichromate that is supplied to them for them to add to their brew. The presence of 36 milliliter of methanol in a 1 liter brew will be lethal, so 75 milliliters should be enough to ensure that the reaction occurs. They would then submerge the tube into a nearby water source such as a river, with the end going into another container. The branching tube coming off the main tube will have a balloon at the end of it. The container will then be heated over a fire for approximately 10 minutes to allow the reaction to occur. The acidified sodium dichromate solution acts as an oxidizing agent by oxidizing the primary alcohol, methanol, into formaldehyde. The formaldehyde has a boiling point of -19 degrees, so it will quickly evaporate and move up into the tube since the heat makes the formaldehyde less dense than air as molecules move further apart with more kinetic energy.
The brew also contains ethanol, which becomes oxidized but forms acetaldehyde instead. Acetaldehyde has a boiling point of 20.2 degrees, therefore it also evaporates into the tube. However, as it moves through the tube, it will condense into liquid since the tube is submerged in water, which will cool the mixture. The acetaldehyde will then pour out the open end of the tube into another container. The formaldehyde will not condense as it has a boiling point of -19 degrees. As the formaldehyde gas puts pressure on the walls of the tube, it will move into the branching tube, filling up the balloon. Once the balloon is not inflating anymore, a tape measure can be used to measure the circumference of the balloon. Then, the equation C equals 2 pi r can be used to solve for the radius using simple algebra. Once the radius is known, 4 pi r cubed divided by 3 can be used to find the volume of the balloon in milliliters using a calculator. If the value is above 25 milliliters, then the solution is lethal. 36 milliliters is a lethal amount since this implies the brew is 3.6% methanol. However, since some formaldehyde might escape from the open end of the tube, 25 milliliters will account for the loss in formaldehyde. This solution will require education for the brewers on how to use the math equations and how to use the apparatus effectively. This can be done by setting up classes for the brewers, and after the brewers can pass on their knowledge to other brewers.
Although this is a good solution, there are positive and negative implications. This solution will allow brewers to know whether their brew is lethal to prevent deaths, blindness, and to prevent any legal complications for the brewer. Overall, people's health will be improved since methanol is toxic in the body. A cultural implication for the solution is that Chengaa is traditionally brewed, and the recipe is passed down from generations. Brewers might be resistant to changing their traditional ways. Some economical implications include the cost of the drink could increase since the brewer now has to do an extra step, and the acidified sodium dichromate solution will cost 17 cents per brew. This could anger consumers as the cheap price of the drink makes it attractive. The acetaldehyde produced can be stored and sold to companies since acetaldehyde is heavily used in industry for use in disinfectants, perfumes, and other substances. This will allow for profit to be made, boosting the economy of the area. Brewers also have access to what they call white rocks, which are actually composed of sodium hydroxide. This can be used to neutralize any excess sulfuric acid in the brew that is left, and the brew can possibly be reused for profit. This is because the chromium becomes reduced to chromium 3+, which is safe for human health, unlike chromium 6+. A political implication is that the government isn't making any money, as Chengaa is illegally brewed by people in their own homes. The government could want to keep Chengaa dangerous to turn people away from drinking it so that it can sell its legal beers, which are more expensive and taxed. An environmental implication is that formaldehyde gas will be produced and it will have to be released into the environment. Formaldehyde gas is toxic, however, the quantity will be low, but over time, the air quality could decrease. A positive social implication is that many young people drink Chengaa, so decreasing mortalities among this demographic will allow these people to study and work to contribute to their communities and their families.